So we are umbrella working group #1, and our Launchpad is called a Launchpad to Catalyze Youth-Inspired Research and Innovation. Next slide. So what is the Launchpad? The Launchpad is an ecosystem framework that catalyzes youth-inspired research from unexpected areas by bringing together diverse stakeholders across disciplines to foster innovative, inclusive collaborations and to provide infrastructural support to advance these realistic, timely solutions for problems impacting our communities. One of the interesting pieces about the Launchpad is that it's very sector agnostic. So it's not like it's specific for academia or industry or the private sector or anything like that. It's very much a conduit for collaboration in the middle of all of those areas. Next slide. And so who is it for? It's a one-stop shop providing an entry point for anyone interested in engaging in youth-inspired research to get started, not just those already aware of existing resources or working within a particular sector. It's stakeholder built, inclusive, and driven by diverse perspectives and design, and it truly reflects in the types of collaborations that the Launchpad would support. Next slide. So the Launchpad will advance development of cross-sector, multidisciplinary research partnerships through a grassroots approach to team formation, providing support in enhancing impacts of existing work in the youth-inspired research arena, and then catalyzing cultural shifts surrounding research ideation and collaboration through these partnerships. Next slide. So the center utilizes a hub and spoke model with the national organization sitting at the center and then either regional or topic specific offshoots. So within the national portion, it provides support in crafting widespread solutions to reoccurring challenges and then creates convening spaces both virtually and in person for knowledge sharing and troubleshooting different problems in live time. And then the regional ones provide community-based problem identification and partnership, and then also helping to support voices that may not otherwise be heard or sort of traditionally marginalized within national level conversations. It helps to amplify those. Next slide. And so components of the Launchpad include infrastructural support through searchable database for partner identification, virtual and in-person spaces to convene, connect, and collaborate through shared interests around youth-inspired partnerships, and then embedded inclusivity throughout with introductory opportunities for people to engage in any stage of development, and then specifically emphasizing early career and graduate student and even undergraduate involvement. Next slide. So we won't go through all of this, but the development phases right now for the Launchpad, phase 1 is where we're at, the utilization of consolidation of existing resources. So mapping out the landscape, figuring out what we can use and how it's relevant in our space. A piece of this is that we're looking to launch regional pilots for community-based problem identification at the end of this year and into the spring, which brings us to phase 2, which is the development of thought leadership and inclusive convening spaces. Phase 3 is implementing learnings to propel development. So taking what we learned in phase 1 and 2, applying it and figuring out what future ideations of the center and the Launchpad might look like to best serve the communities that we're reaching. Next slide. So by the end of 2023, we intend to establish a leadership and advisory board, define the initial activities for a national level center to engage in, and then the identification of 2 potential regional sites for pilots. This is also funded through potential NSF grants and then other funding applications. And then in the spring of 2024, we intend to launch those 2 regional pilots to assess interest and engagement potential, including a solution for matching research partners and an in-person event for the national level. And then also the initial frameworks for the creation of virtual spaces, defining what those would look like. Next slide. So please come join us. If you are interested in helping to build the Launchpad or want to engage with the ecosystem or participate in a potential regional pilot, please scan the QR code, let us know. And then if you want to chat or just get to know a bit more about it beyond this presentation, please reach out. My email's there and then also in the chat. So thank you all for listening. And if there are questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right, thank you, Zoe. We do have one question. And if you still have questions, please continue to ask. What are considered unexpected areas in quotes. Also, how might this overlap with the science of team science and engagement scholarship communities?
Yeah, so I think that one of the interesting pieces about unexpected areas is that we don't know what they are. And so if we were to anticipate, the different partnerships, then they would by definition be expected. And so one of the significant pieces is we don't really know where this landscape could take us and what potential partnerships could arise. And so being nimble, being dynamic, and willing to engage without really knowing what the end product may be is a significant benefit to the structural organization of the Launchpad and associated center. So as far as overlap with different team sciences and engagement scholarship communities, there's significant overlap, and the piece of the phase that we're in right now is identifying how we can aid and continue to help, and instead of just building something redundant and separate, combining those silos, using what's already there, and building the network.
Okay.
All right.
And then another question, Zoe, are you looking for existing big partnerships that are already formed in a scientific area, but say failed to get funded?
If there's a specific instance, then we're happy to chat. One of the pieces that we are intentional about is we want to have people who are willing to collaborate, and then also do so in a manner where their idea is not fully formed yet. And so, yes, but we would need to have that conversation to figure out where you are in development, how you would like to continue to collaborate, and really get into the nitty gritty of what it may look like and how far you're willing to engage, bring in new stakeholders, and so forth.
Okay, great. Thanks, Zoe. There's one more. Is engaging in rural development with community colleges of interest?
Yes, absolutely. I'm also at a land grant sort of agricultural university in Connecticut. And so there's such significant opportunities for innovation within rural development, and especially with community college, keeping it regional to best serve those populations is a perfect example.
All right, that's all the questions we have. So thank you very much, Zoe.